I don't know if this is going to cut it for you. It doesn't do a whole lot for me. It doesn't convince me one way or the other. But once again, I'm not voting. You are in Jackson County. Last night, the Chiefs and the Royals dropped their CBA, their Community Benefits Agreement. This is what happens when you try to do a deal with the devil. It's never good enough. You are never going to put people in a position where they feel good about this when basically you're trying to buy them off. And that's what's going on here. The Chiefs and the Royals are trying to buy off certain community groups and community organizations to get yes votes coming up on April the 2nd. Now, that's their prerogative. You know, it's business. That's how it works. You can buy off just about anybody in business. But the backlash has been pretty stark over the last 12 hours or so since this Community Benefits Agreement came out. The people who are voting no, the organizations who are pushing no votes, are still very much no votes. Nothing's changed. So I don't even know why the Royals and the Chiefs are bothering with this Community Benefits Agreement nonsense, when all it's meant to do is make people feel good and potentially buy off certain votes and certain groups and certain organizations, but has nothing to do with what's actually in the best interests of the public and the taxpayer at large. So the Royals sent this letter to the Jackson County legislators here yesterday. Actually, it was sent out 2 days ago, but this became public yesterday. They write here, "Dear Jackson County legislators, as contemplated by Jackson County Ordinance 5822 and the letter of intent approved by the county pursuant to resolution blah, 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 the Royals engaged in lengthy negotiations with a stakeholder coalition of subject matter experts and community advocates with respect to a community benefits agreement with Jackson County. I'm pleased to report that as a result of the tireless efforts and significant input from the coalition, the Royals have agreed to binding terms to be set forth in a community benefits agreement that will provide more than $140 million of financial and other community benefits to the residents of Jackson County. This agreement is in the top tier of community benefit agreements across all professional sports and contains unprecedented M and WBE, that's minority and women-owned businesses, engagement goals for the Kansas City region. The material binding terms agreed to by the Royals and the coalition are as follows." And they go on to talk about how they're shooting for 43% minority or women-owned business participation on construction. It says each year during the term, the Royals will invest at least $3.5 million in immediately available funds in an interest-bearing, independently maintained escrow account. They talk about how the board shall distribute the community investment periodically, but no less frequently than annually, to various nonprofit and charitable programs, initiatives, and objectives approved by the CBA board. That would include affordable housing, employment benefits, child care benefits, health care, diversity benefits. I mean, it's a woke who's who of nonsense. That's all it is. And it's intended to buy off certain voters. And shocker, groups like KC Tenants, they aren't budging. You see, they could sit here and they could say, we want to make sure that no white people are involved in the project and the whole damn stadium is free to everybody making under $40,000 a year. And KC Tenants would be like, not good enough. That's why these community benefit agreements are nonsense. This should be voted on because of one reason and one reason only. You think it's good for Jackson County, you think it's good for Kansas City, and you think it's good for the region. And you're okay parting with your 3/8 of a cent sales tax on every purchase. But not because they're trying to prove to you how few white people they'll hire. I mean, let's be honest. Like, that's what this is, right? That's when they talk about, how many businesses they're going to hire that aren't run by white people. Like, that's kind of it. That's what these deals are. And, call me crazy, but I'm always of the belief of just kind of hiring people based on how good they are at their job. How about we make sure we hire a concrete company that doesn't give us bad concrete, which is what the Royals have been talking about for the better part of, a few months now, right? How about that for an idea? There's something to consider, John.
I've said before, it's like people interested in community benefits agreements aren't actually interested in agreement.
They're not. No.
It didn't matter what they were going to do, so the Royals have to do the symbolism. You do the dog and pony show. You offer something.
They are interested.
What about, ...
They're interested in extortion. That's what they are interested in.
Quid pro quo.
Yep, that's what this is. And the Chiefs put out another letter themselves. This was by Mark Donovan yesterday via email to the Jackson County legislators, saying that he is thrilled. Oh, he's got that thrill up his leg like Chris Matthews when he talked to Obama that time. A little thrill up the leg there. He's thrilled to notify you that as required by the Jackson County ordinance, the Chiefs have reached an agreement with the Coalition of Community Leaders and Subject Matters on a binding historical community benefits agreement. Same thing, 33% minority-owned, 10% women-owned business participation during construction. Same thing with Arrowhead upgrades. Each year, the Chiefs will invest at least $2 million with escalators beginning in year 11 in immediately available funds into this community investment fund that will be run by a board. Gosh, that won't be sketchily distributed. Right? That won't be something that is, as John noted, a quid pro quo, pay to play, extortion for certain groups and organizations. Listen, this is not me making the case to vote no. It's not. It's just me making the case of how ridiculous the politics are in this. You should vote yes if you want to vote yes. But what I will say is don't vote yes because of this community benefits agreement. Because one, it's, as I noted, a who's who of a woke checklist. And number two, I'm not convinced it's worth the paper it's written on. I mean, is this something where the people who are involved, what is there? And I will ask this of Jackson County legislator Sean Smith, who's coming up in a few minutes, and then Mayor Quentin Lucas, who's going to be here at 7:30. What is there that says this has to be the way it goes if this passes coming up on April 2nd? They call these binding agreements. I call them pretty emails with fancy signatures. That's what I call them. But once again, I'll let the legislators and I'll let the mayor, who's also an attorney, answer this coming up at 7:30 this morning. As we kick it off on a Thursday morning on KCMO Talk Radio, 95.7 FM. So Sean Smith is one of the Jackson County legislators who got this letter. I will ask him his thoughts on it coming up next. And then Taylor Riggs of Fox Business Network right after Sean Smith. She'll be here at the bottom of the hour to talk about what Jerome Powell said yesterday. So that's all part of a busy first hour. Don't miss it. And the mayor of Kansas City, Quentin Lucas, at 7:30 on 95.7 FM, KCMO. Everyone likes to talk about these salacious stories like Missouri OnlyFans models who are getting fired from their jobs as teachers and then trying to get back into the workforce. But as I've seen this story get covered over the last couple of days on TV, on different shows, different stations, social media, I'm sitting back and I'm like, why are we all missing the biggest point here in this story? So if you're not familiar with OnlyFans, well, that's probably a good thing. All right? You can talk to Mark about it on the side if you want. I'm just kidding, Mark. I'm not trying to throw you under the bus in there, okay?
I've never subscribed to an OnlyFans.
He's too busy with 17 different sports betting apps on his phone.
That's right.
When you're trying to hit 10-way parlays on NCAA tournament week, there's no time for OnlyFans, right?
No, not subscribing to anything paying monthly like that.
No. See, Mark uses apps to make money, not spend money.
That's right.
That's right. Okay. John's looking at his flip phone right now, by the way. That's what he's doing.
Yeah. Just waiting for my AOL to download.
All right. Brianna Coppage, 28 years old. She went viral in the fall because she was a teacher in the St. Louis area, And it turned out that she had her own OnlyFans page where guys were paying her. I guess anybody could be paying her, but presumably men were paying her for risque photos and online relationships and things like that. So obviously you can't have somebody teaching our youth while doing that on the side. So she ends up going to OnlyFans, and she cleaned up. I mean, she made close to $1 million when all was said and done on OnlyFans. But she wanted to get back into the workforce, the, I guess, regular workforce. So she resigned from her high school teaching job, got fired, however you want to put it, back in the fall when her OnlyFans page was exposed. Well, now, just a few days into a new gig that she had started, she was also fired. Brianna Coppage, 28 years old, barely made it a full work week as a community support specialist at Compass Health before her new bosses discovered her OnlyFans account. They claim that she violated social media policy. She said that she lasted 5 days before they put her on leave and subsequently fired her. She claims that she was open and truthful about all her past job experiences and reasons for leaving, but that they only did the digital background checks after they offered her the job. She said here that they admitted they didn't call her references or Google her before they hired her. Now, I've hired a few people in my day, and basically the first thing that I do is Google them. How could you not in 2024 hire somebody and not type their name into Google to find out what they're all about and what their background is and who they are? What insane person in 2024 does not Google somebody before hiring them? That is the person right there who should be fired. Not Brianna Coppage. I mean, if you don't think that she's up to your standards after finding out about her, I guess fine, whatever. I'm not sure how that impacts a desk job at Compass Health, but that's not for me to determine. The individual who was in charge of hiring, whoever this person is, who did not Google Brianna Coppage, because if you Googled her right away, you would have been like, whoa, what are those things? Okay, all right, we got a problem on our hands here. We can't have this in the workplace. You would have done the obvious thing, and all you had to do was type the name Brianna Coppage into Google, and this entire thing is avoided. But somebody at Compass Health didn't do that. And that person, whoever they are, should also lose their job, not just Brianna Coppage. Adding here in the story, Coppage, of course, an English teacher, was placed on administrative leave from the St. Clair School District. That was back in September. She then resigned in October. She worked for 2 years teaching freshmen and sophomores in high school. She said she didn't really want to leave the teaching job, but obviously understood that she had to. And she also wanted to allow the school to get back to a sense of normalcy since she had gone viral. But now she's out of work again. The good news is you don't have to, shed any tears, because Brianna Coppage claims that she has made over $1 million from her OnlyFans page since her resignation in September as a teacher, where she was making $42,000 per year. She claims that she is in the top 0.01% of models on OnlyFans. But she says she is struggling mentally because she is not in a normal routine after her recent resignation.
Apparently being a millionaire is boring work. I'll never know.
Oh, man. It's like, you reap what you sow. I don't know. I don't know what you thought the end game was going to be here when you started basically posing half nude on OnlyFans as a freshman and sophomore high school teacher. You knew eventually you were going to get busted. No pun intended. And then you also knew that it was probably going to be tough once you cleared $1 million and went viral to find another gig. So either lean into it and make it $2 million, or, basically scrub the internet of your existence and change your legal name. That's the only other answer I can come up with for Brianna Coppage. But yes, to John's point, I guess being a millionaire can be awfully boring sometimes at the age of 28 years old. But who knows? Maybe she spent it like a crazy person. In fairness, I have no idea. Maybe she was not listening to Dave Ramsey when she made her $1 million in a very short period of time. Who knows what her lifestyle was like? Any answers there, Mark, for us? Can you tell us anything about? No? Okay, fine. I'm done. I'm done. Mark's too busy on his parlay apps trying to figure out how to make sure KU wins and BYU wins today. And who else you got for us in the tournament?
I don't know if I'm going to pick BYU today.
All right.
I might take the upset there.
You might take. Oh,
Duquesne, is that right?
Oh, okay. Yes, they're playing Duquesne.
Yeah.
Duquesne's got a tough defense. BYU can only hit 3-pointers. So
yeah, it depends on if they're hot or cold. They can go either way.
Yeah, they can go either way.
This just in, Mizzou is still at home.
Mizzou is not dancing this year. By the way, I was struggling last night trying to watch my Villanova Wildcats. They lost in the first round of the NIT. 2 years ago, this team was in a Final Four with Jay Wright. They have missed the NCAA tournament for 2 straight years, and they just lost on their home court in front of like 500 people in the first round of the NIT. When they were doing $2 beer night, they couldn't get anyone to show up, John.
Well, just get in the elevator and push B for basement, and you can join me down here.
I'm happy to do that, man.
You're kind of on the descent, I see.
It's not good. Yeah. It's not good. People want the new coach fired, and I can't blame them.
Mm-hmm.
Is it annoying seeing Jay Wright on the set, knowing that he could probably still be coaching, but he's on TV?
No, I'm not annoyed. I'm happy for him. He's made his money. You know, he got the multiple Final Fours. He won 2 national championships. This NIL world is crazy. I think Bill Self hates it, and Jay Wright saw the writing on the wall. But I'm just saddened there wasn't a better plan in place. That's what saddens me, that there was not a better successor in place than this chump they've got in there now.
Well, at Mizzou, it's version 6.0 now, I think, from better plan in place. So.
Touche. It's funny to now see the story that, we've been following for, over a year at this point, getting national and worldwide attention. And that is, of course, the Chiefs and the Royals. And what's going to happen with their community benefits agreement that was dropped yesterday, how that will play in and factor in to the vote coming up on April 2nd. It is crunch time. And, as I have been saying for months, and, frankly, as some of you have been complaining about for months, this story is not a sports story. It's not. This has always been a news story that has politics, that has backroom deals, that is masked as a sports story. But it's not a sports story. It's about taxes. It's about, government involvement. It's about government backroom deals. That's what this story is. That's why, I've bounced around a little bit, and I've heard what some of the sports guys are saying in this town. And for the most part, they're clueless. I mean, they're clueless on a lot of things, but they're definitely clueless on this. They are so caught up in their own bubble. First off, they have way too many personal ties to this deal, right? Like, they think their livelihoods are at stake here. They're not, but that's how they perceive this. And they also think everybody's a rabid sports fan. I come at this from the perspective of, is it in the best interest of the taxpayer, but also being a rabid sports fan? Like, I know some of you will text it and say, I don't care about sports. This doesn't matter to me. I'm voting no. It's like, okay, well, you're not the majority. You're not. I'm a rabid sports fan. I want to see these teams stay and succeed. No doubt about it. But also understand that we need to look at it and say, what is in the best deal of, yes, the teams, but also the taxpayer? We've got to find that happy medium. And Jackson County voters will determine on April 2nd whether or not this is it. So the story now in the last 10 days until Election Day is getting worldwide attention, national attention. Slate wrote this story yesterday, headlined, "The Least Credible Threat to Move a Sports Team in History." And then it says, the Chiefs owner must think his fans are very stupid. I just want to share this with you, and we can get your reaction at 913-408-7957. You make of this what you will, but we've shared pieces on the pro side and on the no side, and I thought with this being a national story was worth taking a look at. Starts off here, the Kansas City Chiefs would appear to be a poor candidate to participate in the stadium financing extortion scheme that characterizes so much of American pro sports. The franchise has been in Kansas City since 1963, shortly after it helped to found the American Football League. In the more than 60 years since then, the Chiefs have turned a huge swath of the lower Midwest into Chiefs Kingdom and cultivated fan passion that's extreme even by the NFL standards. They sold out every game from 1990 to 2009, including a bunch of years when the team was bad. After winning 3 Super Bowls in the past 5 seasons, the team is now a legitimate dynasty. And Arrowhead Stadium is not just packed every week, but is universally regarded as one of the most raucous stadiums in football. The Chiefs are always in the league's top 10 in attendance. And that was the case even before Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Andy Reid started winning championships. However, none of this has stopped the team from threatening recently to abandon the city for elsewhere if voters don't give the team $500 million. The Chiefs are hoping, it seems, that voters are either very dumb or very scared. They note the franchise wants to facilitate $800 million in upgrades to Arrowhead, which would help the Hunt family that owns the team make more money. The Hunts, who are worth at least several $1 billion, say they'll kick in $300 million. So then the article goes on to note what we know, of course, about this deal and where it stands. They then write here in this Slate article, there's one region in the world where the Chiefs can maximize their business, the one they play in now. They will never, ever in a zillion years leave the Kansas City area. They're not the other Missouri franchise, the Rams, that stopped over in St. Louis for 20 years before migrating back to a bigger market, Los Angeles, where it had previously spent half a century. And with the Rams and Chargers both taking up residence in Southern California again, and the Raiders in Las Vegas, there just aren't any other American cities that lack an NFL team and would give the Chiefs the level of support that they enjoy now. Chiefs owner Clark Hunt is a third-generation oil scion who inherited the team. He may or may not have any personal business acumen, but he is smart enough to know that he isn't going anywhere. Then here comes, I think, one of the more intriguing parts of this article. The Chiefs are making one of the least credible attempts in the history of stadium strong-arming. Not only are they not going to leave the Kansas City area, they are unlikely even to leave the site of Arrowhead, a certainly profitable venue that is already one of the envies of the football world. Jackson County voters should tell the football team to pound sand and pay for the upgrades themselves. The Chiefs have been so successful in their hometown that they will make a perfect guinea pig for a necessary American experiment. Can taxpayers win a game of chicken against a sports team owner who is clearly bluffing? This is a vote coming up in 10 days that you will decide in Jackson County that will go a long way to determining what exactly teams might be able to ask for in other major American cities. And that's an angle of this I hadn't thought of, where every NFL owner, every NBA owner, every Major League Baseball owner is looking at Kansas City, specifically Jackson County, over the next 10 days and wondering, what are you going to do? What are you willing to give up? Now, it's more complex, of course, because it's not just about the Chiefs. And that's where the Chiefs are doing a great service for the Royals here. The far more controversial part, and this Slate piece doesn't really get into it, but the much more controversial part here is, of course, the Royals. The Chiefs are taking the slings and the arrows in some circles on behalf of the Royals, partially because they want all of Truman Sports Complex, but also in part because I think they're trying to be a good teammate of the team on the other side. So now you look at it and you say, okay, is this team bluffing? Is the franchise bluffing? We've heard clips from Mark Donovan when he was asked this by Woke 41.
Could the Royals leave Kansas City, Missouri?
I can't answer that for the Royals. I just know that for us, the Chiefs, we would have to look at all of our options.
Do those options include leaving Kansas City, Missouri?
I think they would have to include leaving Kansas City, but our goal here is that we want to stay here. And we're willing to accept a deal, which is actually better for the county to stay here.
All right. Are they bluffing or not? Stephen in Kansas City, first up. Go ahead.
Hey, Mundo, man. Happy March Madness Day. We got the best weekend of the year.
That's right, brother. It is a great 4-day stretch. Are they bluffing or not?
Well, I think that, the Chiefs are sort of in an ideal position here. They're 180 degrees from the Royals. I don't think Clark is bluffing at all. I think that the Laura Kelly is on the record saying that they're willing to put down money for the Chiefs to come over to Wyandotte County. I mean, it's all coming up aces for I don't think the Chiefs have any problem. I mean, this is just some liberal at Slate wanting to make some political points, some cheap political points. But, you know, I'm all for this. Is the free market. The voters will decide whether we're going to they're going to screw it up in Jackson County like they do most things, or to be totally honest, Wyandotte County is the perfect venue for all of this, not just football, basketball, baseball. I mean, you can't have any better situation than out of the Legends west of that racetrack. That's where all this stuff should have gone anyway. I know Missouri's going to try and desperately trying to
see,
keep
but here's the
stuff,
thing: you mentioned it's the free market at work, Steve, and enjoy the games today, brother. Is it really though? If we're talking about states and municipalities and counties competing against each other with taxpayer dollars, is that really the free market at work? 913-408-7957. Mayor Lucas at 735. I'm going to ask him, by the way, where the city's at in its negotiations with the Royals going downtown. No one's talked about that side of this and whether or not the Royals were promised anything for this controversial Crossroads site. We'll get to that and much more as we roll through the morning here. Speaking of this article, though, there was something else that was noted about what other teams have gotten and what other teams have given up and what they've done in the hundreds of millions of dollars. We'll have those details next on KCMO 95.7 FM. Big Bad Bill O'Reilly will be on the show tomorrow to wrap up the week at 8:30. So set that alarm, make a little notification on your phone, and make sure you're here at 8:30 tomorrow when Bill O'Reilly is on the show. So this article from Slate, and, you know, one of our callers before the break, Steven in Kansas City, noted that Slate's like kind of a far-left website, and it is. But the story is compelling, and the article is mildly compelling, too. And there was something here, as they write this piece, titled, "The Least Credible Threat to Move a Sports Team in History," talking about the Chiefs. There is something in this article that I had not considered before. And here it is. They write here, the Raiders agreed to pay their fellow NFL owners a nearly $400 million relocation fee to go from Oakland to Vegas. The LA teams agreed to pay $645 million, the Chargers and the Rams. The amount that the Chiefs want from Jackson County taxpayers is $500 million. And any relocation fee alone would be probably in that neighborhood. All to move to a less lucrative home for the Chiefs, where he doesn't, meaning Clark Hunt, have decades of proof that the locals will spend money supporting said team. Says here, Hunt does not have a winning hand. His best hope is that fans who love the Chiefs get scared of an implausible outcome and vote to give him more of their money. Maybe that's a paradox because less successful franchises than the Chiefs are trying similar moves and actually have leverage. The article goes on to say a couple of paragraphs later. So where would the Chiefs go? Not far. The only plausible move would be across the border to nearby Kansas, but even interested lawmakers there acknowledge that landing the team is a long shot. If the leverage is KCK, if the leverage for the Chiefs is the Legends, which I don't think is actually in play right now, I think if this thing crashes and burns in 10 days, as Patrick Tuohy noted yesterday at the Show Me Institute, we'll do it again next year. Like, usually it takes 2 or 3 failed votes before a team actually decides it's going to move on something like this. And then where would they go? They might look to the other side of the state line. But where is the state of Kansas at that point? Is Laura Kelly still the governor? Where's the Republican legislature on this? I mean, yeah, there are Chiefs fans in the Republican legislature. We know that. But are they the types who are going to just back up the dump truck and hand over whatever they want to get the team in the Legends? I don't think they would actually do that. So I don't.
Hashtag Panasonic.
Well, okay, you got me there.
Maybe.
Yes, they did back up the dump truck.
I think this is like a nonpartisan yes issue, regardless of who's in office. I would just posture. If they had a chance to get the team, I don't think it matters, outright partisan-wise.
So you think that Kansas, Dems and Republicans would be all in on trying to steal him from Missouri?
I I don't know about stealing, but suddenly if they were available for a date for the evening, I think they might entertain that notion. You know what I'm saying?
See, I would just be ticked off if the state of Kansas did that, because it would end up like the Panasonic deal or with higher taxes. And once again, we would have this border war going on.
Well, there you go.
Between these two states.
Because Missouri and Kansas have gotten along so well over the years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That would just piss me off. That would literally be pitting taxpayer against taxpayer. And if Republicans in Kansas played that game, then shame on them. I don't want to hear from these goobers about how they want to cut your taxes if they would be willing to pit Kansas taxpayers against Missouri taxpayers to move the Chiefs 25 miles down the road. For what purpose? That would be completely unfair to the region at large. Now, I say this as someone who I understand does not have a vote coming up on April 2nd. But in looking out for the region as a whole, I don't want to end up in a situation where you're pitting Kansas against Missouri for the egos of some politicians in Topeka. And that's all it would be. And by the way, ask people in Wyandotte County how they feel about their taxes right now. Or Johnson County. And I'll tell you what, things are not going to get better the next couple of years on that front either. Just wait and see how that plays out. So that's where the best outcome here is just a fair, reasonable, transparent deal that works out for everybody. And with 10 days to go, you might think that the 3-cent sales tax is absolutely worth your money. But there is something to be said for the way the transparency has been lacking. And now we have this community benefits agreement that was dropped yesterday, but no one's actually seen the agreement. Sean Smith was on the show earlier in the morning, and he noted, as a legislator, he got the email yesterday from the teams talking about this community benefits agreement, but the agreement was never actually attached to the email. It was just an email saying we've agreed to a community benefits agreement. So it's that kind of stuff that is just, it's like, can you get your ducks in a row? Can you do this transparently, which is what you've preached? And that's as frustrating as anything for a lot of folks. The mayor of Kansas City, Quentin Lucas, on this and more next. I'm telling you, some of you are going to be walking around the streets now bumping into Quentin Lucas and calling him Quentin Donald. I can see it right now. And I can't help but think of the Andy Reid clip right after the Super Bowl win.
How about that D, baby?
How about it, baby? How about that D? That's right. I had no idea that his middle name was Donald. That is news to me. I learn something new every week talking to the mayor of Kansas City. Quentin Donald Lucas. He should put that in his Twitter handle. QD Lucas, Quentin D. There you go. 913-408-7957.
I think it's funny when people tell a middle name, they have to say it together, right?
Yeah.
What's your middle name? I say Wayne. John Wayne. No, it isn't. I just like to do that. So.
Oh, man. Well, listen, I in terms of what he talked about with the Royals moving downtown, that's where I'm starting to get confused, and that's where the transparency thing comes back into the conversation, at least for many of us. He's saying the city hasn't talked to the Royals, but I'm telling you, last night, Adam Sachs, who's the legal guy, he's the basically legal director, I guess, if you want to call him that, he said that at a meeting last night, a community meeting, that there had been positive conversations with the city. So once again, that's where I just sit here and I say, okay, who's giving us the truth here? What's really going on?
We got a thing like this with L'Jarius Sneed. The Colts never talked to the Chiefs, but the Chiefs probably talked to L'Jarius's agent, said, hey, this is kind of what we're looking for. Agent goes over and talks to Buddy. Buddy's maybe works for the Colts, maybe not, but not officially. Hey, this is what the Chiefs are looking for.
Well,
the two teams never talked.
Yes.
But they talked.
That's where I brought up Port KC. Because something tells me Port KC is the middleman here in all this.
I see.
Where the Royals are talking to Port KC, the mayor's office is talking to Port KC, and they're playing the role of agent in trying to get some kind of negotiation done to move this stadium downtown. So that's where it gets very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, for those who are skeptical, it gives them another reason to be skeptical. It gives them another reason, if they don't want to trust politicians, if they don't want to trust, the billionaires, right? And because it is part of the populist movement that has encapsulated both sides of the political aisle, now for different reasons, of course, and they both view the answers and the solutions very differently. I did like how the mayor brought up, billionaire libertarians. Hey, dude, there's plenty of billionaires, too, on the left side, the socialist side of the aisle, that are up to no good as well. I got to admit that, right? Who's funding KC tenants? We still don't really know. So they're across the board. Yes, there's uber wealthy people who are funding libertarian think tanks and who are funding movements like KC tenants. But they both come together on this one issue. And it's very, very strange. But it's where we find ourselves right now. Paul in Kansas City. What's up, Paul? Got a minute for you, buddy.
Hey, real quick, Pete, it's Manny Arbaca. He runs this county. He runs the city. He is the man in charge. At 41.
Well, Manny Arbaca, the Jackson cat, dude, that guy couldn't run a toilet seat.
He's on the face of TV every night talking about the CBA and everything else. This guy's in charge of everything. He wants to take my guns and he wants to move the Royals. He got the IQ of a bird. I mean, he's just an absolute fool. Mike's in the Northland. Real quick, Mike, go.
Yeah, Mr. Pete, how you doing, sir? I appreciate your show here. I just wanted to, I'm a longtime Kansas City resident, live in the Northland. Our honorable mayor there, he did talk about Mayor Funkhauser, and I know that Mayor Funkhauser was not real smart, but he got in there. But I kind of disagree with what he said about the change in the city with Kay Barnes and stuff like that. His reputation was really bad with his wife, but because she was giving him a lot of advice. But anyway, do you really think the Chiefs are going to move?
No.
Do you really think they're going to take it to Kansas? They're going to try to run this thing somewhere else. I mean, another way to get the money.
Yeah.
But they're not going to move it because
I
that's
agree.
not Mr. Hunt.
I agree.
They're just
I got to run, Mike.
And they're not even.
I totally
Yes, sir.
agree. Got to run, brother. Appreciate it.